This is Adam Gorney from Rivals here with South Carolina coach Shane Beamer. Shane, early signing day is the big signing day, but there's still a lot of movement to go on and things like that. How did the day go for you? How did it kind of go in this week heading into signing day?
Yeah, it went well. The bulk of this class, which I'm proud of, I mean, they've been, I think all but three, they've been committed to us since pretty much the summertime, and excited because they stayed committed and had plenty of people trying to come after them throughout the fall and winter. So the bulk of those guys signed, which I think says something about those guys. We closed, really well here in the last week with Stone Blanton and Xavier Short and DeAndre Martin, three guys that were our most recent, commitments. So excited about that. And then, we still have plenty of flexibility going into the next signing period as well. So we're happy about where we are and certainly have some areas we've got to continue to attack going forward and plan to do that.
I think one of the ideas for the early signing period was guys who are committed super long, just get it over with. They don't have to continue to be recruited through December and January. But really, has the calendar just moved up, and now as you're finishing your season, you're dealing with what you used to deal with in January, February? Or have you seen
Yeah, a
it
little
kind of help
bit.
you?
And I agree with you, and I still think I still like the period being where it is for that very reason. That the amount of guys that have been committed to us since, some of these guys have been committed to us since the springtime. That they know where they're going, and they know that I'm not going anywhere, and they want to be Gamecocks. Let them go ahead and sign, and then if you don't want to sign, and just have to, but it makes December busier. I mean, the last four seasons, three at Oklahoma and one at Georgia, we were playing in a conference championship game. So you lose a week of recruiting because you're preparing for that game. And this year, I mean, I had 2 full weeks where I was able to go out on the road and recruit, but it certainly makes you say to yourself, man, I mean, that really is a grind during that time. If you're one of the teams that plays in the championship game, to try and get out as a coach and see everybody before signing day. So there's certainly some positives in the way it is, and it's different, but we're all dealing with it, and fired up about the group that we signed today that has been committed to us here for a while.
I did want to ask about that too, and big, kind of bigger picture. As you're out on the road in December, and jobs are opening, Virginia Tech opens, Oklahoma opens. Obviously, your name is mentioned. How do you kind of handle that just personally as a coach to tell people, I want to build something here in Columbia, and I'm not doing that?
Yeah, the Virginia Tech one, that one popped as I was here. We were getting ready for a game, I guess, because that was still in the season, and my name was naturally connected to it, and I didn't really have to deal. No recruits specifically asked me about that one. I think I was pretty forceful in my press conference that week about how I felt about this place and whatnot. The Oklahoma one was a little bit different because we played the Clemson game, and then I'm in Atlanta recruiting, I think, on that Monday. And, my phone is blowing up with people that think I'm going to be the next head coach at Oklahoma. And it's one of those, do you say something when there's nothing to it, or do you not say something? Do you make a big deal out of it by commenting on it? So I really didn't. But then it started coming up in some homes, when I was visiting with parents, where they flat out asked me and connected me with Oklahoma. And I just had to tell them that, look, everything that I've said about South Carolina is true, that I want to be here, that we can win championships here, that I don't need to go anywhere else to do the things that we want to do here, because we have all the resources here to be successful and to win championships. And I truly believe that it's where I want to be personally. It's where I want to be professionally. And certainly it's part of it. You see it across the country with so many different coaches that are connected with jobs that have left in the last week or two to go places. And it's part of the profession right now, but it certainly doesn't make it easy. That's for sure.
One guy I want to ask about on offense is Landon Sampson, just a guy who catches a million balls. How do you kind of envision using him in the offense? And is that what you've loved about him? Just a guy that gets open and catches the ball all the time.
Yeah, we've told him you're probably going to catch a million balls in this offense, just because that's him. He fantastic coach out there at South Lake Carroll and Raleigh Dodge that knows how to get guys open, and Landon's awesome. He's really, really excited about his potential and his future here at Carolina. He's really, really, really talented, and he's one of those guys that you offer him and he commits to you, and you're like, man, you got to keep this guy committed and get him signed in December all the way out in Texas. And as he had a fantastic senior season, even though he got hurt during the season a little bit. And he had plenty of schools that were coming after him at the end that were a lot closer to him than South Carolina. And he stayed solid with us, which I'm excited about. And he's a really talented guy that I think we can utilize him in a lot of different ways. And he knows how to get open. He catches the ball, and he's a great competitor. And he has that edge about him, which I love as well.
This isn't necessarily a signing day question, but since I have you, I have to ask: how does Spencer Rattler, Austin Stogner come to you? How does that all transpire that they're coming to you now?
Yeah, I think it goes back to just the relationship I had with them at Oklahoma. The fact that, I coached Austin, and I had a relationship with he and his family, and always thought a lot of Spencer. And when Austin went in the portal, his dad reached out that night, and he was in Columbia pretty shortly thereafter. And during the visit, he mentioned Spencer, and that Spencer may have an interest in talking, and then the ball just kind of got rolling from that standpoint. But we're excited about them. They're great players, as you know. They're great young men, and I think it gives it brings so much more attention to this program. I mean, it's amazing. All of a sudden, that news broke the other night, and I've got all these class of 2023 prospects that we're recruiting that I'm usually the one texting them. They're all of a sudden blowing my phone up about Spencer Rattler and Austin Stogner coming. And I think it just makes a statement about where this program is and where we're going, and the fact that those two kids could go anywhere in the country. I mean, Austin was on a visit to Ohio State this past weekend, and Iowa State before that, and Spencer could have picked his school basically, but they chose South Carolina. And I think that opened up a lot of prospects' eyes to what we're doing here, and made South Carolina even more attractive. And now we got a day and everyone around them. We got to go play well and have a great season next year.
Last thing, Stone Blanton. Obviously, a tremendous amount of Mississippi connections there. The state of Mississippi connections at both schools. How do you win that one? And did you feel like you had a real shot at the end there?
I think my wife is from Starkville, so certainly the Mississippi ties with my wife certainly helped. My in-laws became like Stone's biggest fans. They still live in Starkville. And it was one of those that, you always felt good about it when he was on his visit here in the summertime, and he came on his own to our very first game. And then he came back on his own for our Clemson game, I believe, at the end of the season. And it was one of those that you say to yourself, man, it's going to be hard to get this guy out of Mississippi with all the ties, football and baseball. But the longer it went, it's like, well, he keeps communicating with us, and he keeps coming to games. So I don't think he'd waste his own money coming to a game if he wasn't interested. And he's got a great family, and he's a great player, and he's very genuine. The people, his mom and dad, are fantastic and very straight shooters and honest and have great values. And we just really connected. Clayton White and our defensive staff, myself and Stone and his family. When he's been here, it was just very, very. It's like a perfect fit, you know what I mean? And then when we went over to MRA and visited with him in Mississippi last week, we had an awesome visit, and it was just very comfortable, very natural. And you felt like you had a chance, but it was going to be in the end of the day that would he be able to pull the trigger and leave? And he was able to, and we're better for it on and off the field. He's a great player and great leader and great young man.
Help from the wife, help from the in-laws, by any means necessary, right, Shane?
Whatever it takes.
Right. That's South Carolina coach Shane Beamer. I'm Adam Gorney, Rivals.com.